with Gage specifically, what sort of allowed him to get so much more swing and miss this weekend? I feel like that was something that one of the last, the last missing piece from him, I guess.
Yeah, I think he's really good. First of all, I think we saw that early in the season. I don't think he'd given up a run, before SEC play. I think we've faced a lot of good teams and a lot of good hitters. Played in some small ballparks, and I've never really felt like he was that far away. Like when you look at the stat line and you see 14 strikeouts and those types of things, to me it is less of a surprise. And I think he's poised to continue to pitch well. I think, he's mixed a little more, and throwing all four pitches with a little more frequency. I just think he just suffocated the strike zone. And so there's just a lot of pressure, and felt like everybody was to two strikes quickly. And just a good performance by Gage.
Who was he able to replicate that allowed him to go as long as he did?
I think we got the leadoff guy out in every inning, but maybe the first inning. And I think that's really key against a team like Missouri. And so it allows you to stay in the windup longer and into your delivery. It takes out some of the elements of the bunting game, which they're good at, as we saw yesterday. Just getting a lead like that, it's really the only other game besides the Vanderbilt game that we've been able to do that. Takes a little pressure off the pitcher, allows them to get convicted in what they're doing and attack, and he did that. He's had a couple really good weeks. Like, I thought he pitched okay at Tennessee, but I could sense he's starting to move in a good direction a couple weeks ago.
Was it an attack mentality for the whole team?
I think so. He certainly set a good tone, and it's just the complimentary baseball when your pitchers are out there giving up zeros and then you're scoring runs. Everybody can settle into the game a little bit better, and then it's what made Saturday harder. Is credit them, they did a good job. They had 3 2-out hits in the first 2 innings, and ultimately it was the difference in the game.
With Jump going so many pitches, are you considering going with Holman Friday night?
I haven't made that decision just yet. We've kind of tried to do what's best for both of them, because obviously we need both of them. They're 2 of our 3 best guys, and Gage coming off an injury, Luke usually having high volume. Giving him 2 extra days 2 weeks ago was by design for Luke. I think that really helped him out at Tennessee. So we'll kind of look at that. We kind of have a little bit of flexibility in what we want to do there with how we're training them during the week, and we'll do some assessment stuff with both of them to make sure that we put them both in a good spot to be successful.
Would you consider that a quality start by Ackenhausen?
He did a great job. It's two in a row where, you just need to be in the game on Sunday. We've lost a good number of games, but, other than the couple Sundays, they've been where the other teams had to use their best relievers to finish us off. So you get in that spot where, just like yesterday, we scored in the last 4 or 5 innings. Thought that was a real positive for our team. And so if you just, in that spot, keep you right in the position we were, I think we were down 2-0 when he left the game, but really gave us a chance. And I'm happy for him. He's had a tough go, to this point, but he's responded really well the last 2 weeks. And I think it's really given our team a lift, to know that we're going to get a competitive deal. We've run into a little better fortune where the teams have pitched a little more traditionally the last couple weeks, where, like I said, we caught a bad break with Florida with what they're doing with what they have to do with Caglione. And after a really tough loss, and same thing with Vanderbilt with Carter Holton. And having him there and throwing strikes and keeping us in the game, I think everybody really believes in him. So it's been a good lift the last couple Sundays. We were, tight game at Tennessee and then a good win yesterday.
With Nate, is a lot of the key for him just, locating all his pitches in the bottom half?
Well, that's what he is. He's not 98 miles an hour or 97 miles an hour. He has a good fastball. He has good movement. He mixes incredibly well. And so it can become a tough at bat And he's just really done a good job. I feel like he's, the starting thing is good for him. I thought it was important this year, and it didn't work out, but one of the reasons I kept him in the pen, I thought it would be important for the confidence of our team to win close games. And, we weren't able to do that. So just kind of reassessing and reevaluating that, keeping us in the game, on Sunday where we'd had some trouble spots. He's done a really good job the last 2 weeks.
It just complements well the changeup movies.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, 100%. And, like I think you asked me about that last week, it's not so much that it has to be an out pitch, but if it gets them off your fastball a little bit to where you can get some weak contact fly ball outs, it's a really important pitch, and he has a good one.
How do you see him maybe mature from all the way to Omaha last year?
Yeah, he's great. It's one of those dominoes that, when it fell over when we recruited him and he committed in the fall of 21, I guess it would be, 22, yeah, 21, sorry, my years mixed up, that he would be an important pitcher on a winning team. And we needed pitching and left-handed pitching when we got here. And, I think he was one of the more undervalued people on that team last year that did what it did. And, I trust him. I really, really trust him. And like I said, it was difficult to see those 2 games go the way that they did because, it's like, who would you put out there? And it doesn't mean we have more guys, but just everybody's behind him, believes in him. And it's good that we put him in this spot. And, he's come through for us the last couple of weeks.
What was your thought process in having Alex play a little bit more this weekend?
Well, Brady got hurt Saturday before the game. So he was kind of limited in what he could do. And then he really toughed it out, credit to him, to be able to get in there and play a little bit on Saturday, but he was not available to play. I'm good with all 3 of those guys. And, I'm proud of Alex. I told the team yesterday, sometimes you just need somebody to pick you up. And just like, we're not losing today, based on the intent that I'm playing with. And I thought he really did that yesterday. Obviously singled. There was a walk in there. There was like a heavy pitch count at bat. Moved the offense well and caught outstanding. That was his best game. He's a good cat. He's a great catcher. But that was his best game that I remember here behind the plate.
And when you can put in Griffin and
Yeah.
he eats up the final 5 innings like that, what kind of luxury is that?
It's amazing. Yeah, I think he's just the way I do it is one of your best pitchers has to be in that spot. And there's no argument right now. He has been our best pitcher. With 5 SEC wins and 4 of them, he's done exactly what he just did. And so I'm proud of him. I think the thing that I would want all the other players to emulate is there hasn't been one time where he's even worried about where we have him or how I'm set up. He's been a very team guy in that element. And then competitiveness. I have always believed the pitcher that starts you off in the series and the guy that's in that role where you have the win, as long as they go do their job, they have to have tremendous makeup and competitiveness, and Griffin has that. And, it's allowed him to excel in that role. And, I'm really pleased with he was fine early in the year, but he really took off. I would say probably about week 4. We started him in the midweek against North Dakota State, and he got us a couple scoreless innings. We came in the game we won at Mississippi State. Was the only guy that really got any length and any success, even though he didn't finish that one. Finished Florida, finished Vanderbilt. Obviously, did what he did yesterday, and so there's a lot of good to that in terms of competitiveness, team player, and then the pitch execution is great. You can't have a better outing than he had yesterday.
How much did his Omaha success get them started?
Well, I think he was good for us last year before that. And what I mean by that is, and you guys follow us closely, so on Fridays when everybody's locked in and focused, we rolled him out there after Paul, 3 or 4 times, and he brought him home. And so that kind of gave me confidence that the next step for him would be what he's doing for us now. And then, he had a big performance against Oregon State in one of their regional games, the one we finished the regional. And I just remember thinking that day of really liking his poise and competitiveness. And then, you get to game 4, in the loser's bracket in the College World Series, you needed somebody to really step up, and he did. We just were talking about Nate. That big trophy in there has a lot to do with those two guys. And so being able to pair them like we were, I had a lot of peace of mind yesterday in the dugout. And, hopefully they can, continue that the rest of the way. That would simplify a lot of things for our team. And, I'm happy to see their success.
What's the nature of Brady's injury and how is he?
He's had a sore shoulder, and he was trying to do some therapy on it, and aggravated it a little bit, and just so it's a soreness issue and a mobility issue, and when you're talking about swinging the bat, that can be difficult. But he's strong for his size, and obviously we saw with the back thing, he was able to recover and get past that. So I don't think that it's a long-term thing at all, but we're reevaluating that today. So
How's Jaden progressing?
he's doing good. He threw a great bullpen. There. We brought him on the trip. We didn't put him on the roster. And again, another important one. And would love to get him in the game tomorrow. But we're playing the best team that we'll see on a Tuesday tomorrow night. Really good respect for them. It's almost the same team that was an NCAA tournament to me. Literally down the lineup, it feels like it's almost the same team. So it's got to fit in the context of that too, because it'll be a good challenge tomorrow night.
What do you see in Ashton that's so far?
He's got the right type of heartbeat, the right type of maturity. He's able to keep the game slow, and really that's why he's elevated himself, past, not just some of the younger players in the program, but some of the older players in the program. And he's a baseball guy. He will work and work and work. There's some real good qualities in terms of that, and just maturity, emotional control, and then he's a good hitter. You know what I mean? He's put a lot of work in over his life to just be a good hitter. And so now you're taking the work that he's put in, the physical talent that is there, and he's maximizing it because his mind is right. And it's been really good to see. You could see some of those qualities. This is just a hard jump like we've talked about. But I love seeing him come up to the plate with runners on base as much as anybody on the team, frankly, because he's going to be steady and the situation's not going to be bigger than his plan.
Has he got a little bit more versatility than you might expect at his age on offense?
Yeah. He's a good athlete, good runner. We've got a lot of season left. He's obviously a huge part of this season, but it's good to have a young player. And, it's the same thing with Milam, even though they're taking some lumps. There was a few things with both of them in the game yesterday where you go, there's no way for them to learn some of this stuff other than what they're having to do right now. And it was great we were able to win the game, and those guys are coachable, so I like that, because it's hard to get. And we're not where we want to be, but if you want to pull a positive, is those guys are having some success in league play against good pitchers, learning through some mistakes and failures, and are becoming good players. And that's a good thing.
When you're running like you are, the midweek games just as important as anything else.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, again, I'm very aware that the league thing's we're not where we want to be. We've done a nice job outside of conference. It's baseball. It's different. And we're 20-3. I'd be surprised if you could count on more than one hand the teams that have 20 non-conference wins. Probably they're all in the SEC, would be my guess. So that part's important. Developing consistency in your mindset and your play, really important. That's part of growing up. And so it has a lot of value. And we're playing a really good team. I'm not just saying that. This is a really good baseball team. And, well coached, and a lot of respect there. So everything's important for us. I mean, obviously the results. I mean, we want to win every game that we play here, but it goes much deeper than that. In terms of developing consistency.
With Ashton, what allows him to use his lower half really effectively to generate more?
Well, I think he's strong. I think, again, it's a guy that this is his deal in his life. So if you don't find him in the batting cage, you'll find him in the weight room. And has been trained. He's got a great family, comes from a great family, very supportive of him and his development throughout his entire life. He was put himself around the right people. And, a common theme, that I've noticed, and I've really noticed it here, is the best guys, they have ability, they have that mental component, and then they've had a good background coming in here, as far as development. Dylan, Tommy, and I think he kind of fits into that. Like, he was well positioned to have success along with the ability. And so that's a long answer, but I think he's doing all the right things from a strength and conditioning standpoint, hitting standpoint, development standpoint, mental standpoint. He's a guy you enjoy coaching is what I would say, is because he's definitely all in, all engaged all the time, and accountable. We had a conversation the other day of he was almost like appreciative for giving him the opportunity, because he was kind of just okay in the fall. Just okay leading into the season until the last weekend before we started playing. It was okay, we got to keep this guy close to it. And so you saw a lot of pinch hit at bats, and then some spots starting, and then now he's in there.
He was about 2 hours from home yesterday where he grew up.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah,
that was cool. I have a theory that players play well on their birthday and they play well near their hometown. And over a lot of years of doing this, and he's like I said, really good support system. Really like his dad and his mom. Sister always has a smile on her face every time you see her, and just a really good positive deal. And so that was pretty cool. For him, he had a ton of supporters there, and he obviously had a great weekend. I think he had 13 at bats, and at least 11 of them were quality at bats. And I want to say he was on base at least 9 or 10 times. And hard to have a better weekend than that.
After the series this weekend, did you go back and discuss the math with the team?
No, I think I already went down that road a couple weeks ago, like I said, and I don't think it necessarily helped. I think simplifying, taking not a different approach, but a very deliberate approach with my interactions with them and what's at the forefront. We need a lot more than going through that. They all want to do it. They know we're fighting a uphill battle. But I'm proud of this. Is a good week. It would have been a great week had we won on Saturday. But for them to win Tuesday, win 2 out of 3 on the road, it's a step in the right direction. And they know that it's not over, but they know we have a lot of work to do. And the team we're playing this weekend, and I'm sure we'll get into that more. You look at it's like an almost identical thing of how the schedule laid out, and that's part of it. It's what makes playing in the league great. But again, if that's the 14th place team, they're no worse than second or third in any other conference in America right now. And that's hard for people to get their head around, because you can just get caught in the winning and losing. But Chris Stanfield, Ike Irish, Bobby Pierce, McMurray, those are real players. That is a really good top 5 of the order. It just shows you kind of where SEC baseball, it's always been the best, but has ascended to.
What are some little things you're looking for in pitchers when it comes to just two-strike pitching and getting that?
Yeah, so I actually talked to the staff yesterday before the game, and we've been through it. Let's just start for the result and work backwards. We've had a hard time putting guys away with 2 strikes, hard time getting off the field with 2 outs. I think 7 of the 8 runs that Missouri scored on Saturday were with 2 outs, or at least 6. And so I tried to give him you kind of understand this of sometimes you can get there, it's like, oh, just one more, and I get back in that dugout and high five everybody, and you lose focus of just executing the pitch. And so, taking it back to football, it was like, hey man, let's get there as fast as we can, but hey man, it's first and goal on the 1 yard line, run your best play right now. You know what I mean? Run your best play right now. Let's get off the field. And obviously it had to do with the guys that were pitching, but Griffin did that 5 times yesterday. He was 5 for 5. Nate did it. We were in some trouble in the second inning, first and second, nobody out, and we got a double play ball and got the next guy to 2 strikes and got it done and got us off the field. And so I think that was good to see. They didn't really put any pressure on us on Friday because Gage pitched so well. And it's a team playing hard. It's what Florida 2 weeks ago there. And so it's just, like I said, we have to find, I don't want to call them the small wins, but the wins within it. And it was a good roadmap, for the rest of the pitchers. I thought the guys that threw on Tuesday against New Orleans did a good job of that.
You had somebody in mind tomorrow?
Yeah, I watched one of their games from this weekend. We came out of that because we only used 2 guys in a pretty good spot. So I would assume it'll be a little bit like last Tuesday, and which I thought after we gave up the 2 homers was as good a pitching performance as we've had. So for 2 weeks, obviously you saw what Tennessee did this weekend. In a ballpark, the one ballpark that I have never been to. In the SEC that is not offensive, they put up a lot of runs. And so, again, we didn't win, but, we pitched competitively for 24 and a half of the 27 innings at Tennessee. We had a rough one on Saturday, but 2 pretty well-pitched games, a couple midweeks. I think you'll see a little bit of what we did last week.
Has there been any consideration of moving Jake back to the mound? Jake Brown?
Yeah, I think the health thing's important. It's a guy that had a lot of innings under his belt coming here. Pitching for Team USA. Complete game every start. Last year, and he will definitely pitch again here. But I think we have to do it in a way that is good for him and his arm. So he's going to pitch here again. I don't know that we'll see that in the immediate.
Like with an off season with a training program.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, keep him healthy. Yeah, exactly. I think that would be an emotional reaction, and those are usually not what's best for the player. Even with Gavin, he didn't go in a game, for 3 weeks last year, but we had started that process 3 months before we actually put him in a game.
There's no chance Chase comes back, right?
That would surprise me. I had a good meeting with him last night when we returned home of just where we're at through a good bullpen up there at Missouri. It doesn't feel like it's going to be what's best for him to get him back. And I think it's super important that we treat all pitchers with the right kind of respect for as far as how that we're using them here, and for them to know that we're going to take care of them. Trust me, nobody wants to pitch worse than him. We did explore about a month ago, because he's been progressing well. Well, what if we brought him in the game and he only used 1 pitch or 2 pitches instead of his full arsenal? But then you have to look at the back half of what the rehab looks like. Does that slow down his rehab? Well, I think we all know what the ceiling and talent level of that young man is. And what we need for him to do in 2025 is, throw more than 2 innings a week. You know what I mean? So I'm not optimistic that we'll get there. And he is progressing great. I just don't know that it's in his best interest to do that. Yeah.
How about gymnastics?
Sorry, stole my thunder. I was going to finish with that, but yeah, doggone it. Really cool. Really very happy for him. Coach Clark, great coach. Really enjoy listening to him, like when we have head coaches meetings. Very smart, obviously program builder, good handle on all the things that are going on in college athletics, and kind of a fun team to follow, and just it almost seemed like it was going to end up that way. I don't know anything about gymnastics, but I do know competition and obviously the program functioning at the highest possible level. I didn't know this, last night when I got home, my wife was telling me, like, I guess we finished second a few times in this thing. And to get over the hump and to do that, it's hard to be in that position that many times, but really, really cool for the athletes, really cool for him. Coach Bro obviously put in a lot of time, but really happy for Jay. And he was really present last year during our run. And there's not a lot of people that really understand like what this all is. And so it was cool to have a good exchange with him, and very happy for them.
And just like the last year, you've got 3 national champions,
Yeah.
a Heisman Trophy winner. I mean, that's not what you knew when you came here.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's not many places like it. And when you put together across the board excellence, like if you go, I'll just use this as an example. It's really hard to go around the country, even in just like football and basketball, and go like, hey, they're good at both for a long period of time. It's like not like that. Like in terms of overall excellence, I don't think there's a place that duplicates this, and it's awesome to sit in some of those meetings and, have some of the dialogue that we have and listen to, Coach Kelly, Coach Mulkey, Coach McMahon, Coach Clark, Coach Schaefer, Coach Torina. I mean, I don't really want to leave anybody out because everybody's functioning at a really, really high level.
What are those meetings sort of like? What are those conversations like?
Well, we have a great administration, and there's a lot of issues nowadays. You know what I mean? And so a lot of times you go sit in those administrative meetings, and it's like, okay, which is important, but like you're talking about a lot of things that don't have to do with winning. It's just the way it is. Like it's nobody's fault, but like when we go into our head coaches meeting, we talk about those things, but then there's an element of like, how can we help you win? And that starts at the top with Scott. Kelly Zen does a great job in those meetings. My sport administrator, Dan Gaston. And to have people that are passionate, it's like, hey, what can I do to help you? I think every head coach would tell you that's one of the things that makes LSU really, really special place.
NIL and the portal, and you're just trying to find a way to
navigate all of it.
Yeah.
And I think I've said this, like my own personal opinion is like, I'm not the commissioner of the NCAA. We're not making any of these rules. We have to navigate, and just like tell me what we're dealing with, and then I got to figure out how to help us be successful in that, and it's challenging, and you can't spend time worrying about, hey, I don't like this. I mean, some things are making it harder. It's making it harder. I mean, coaches going from college to the NFL, head coaches going and being assistant coaches, just not to want to deal with it. What's great about here is we have smart people, motivated people, a lot of support, to help us navigate all that.
During games, you're writing a lot of stuff down on the board. Like, roughly, what are some of the things that you're trying to?
We have a lot. We have a lot we have to get better at, And so some of it is like, hey, I see something in a hitter that like, okay, later on in the game, later on in the series, this is what we're going to need to do. You know what I mean? As far as a matchup, some of it is like a game notes, type thing that we need to cover. And, so you don't continually make the same mistakes. I mentioned a couple of the young players, and they played good yesterday. I mean, Ashton had a homer, Steven had a triple. But there was a couple things that are super subtle that had, if you're not really paying attention, that if you didn't pay attention to it or go back to it, then I'm not really doing my job, because it's hard, and just because we do it doesn't mean they're going to get it right the next time. But a lot of it is just about player and team improvement, So as they get older, as we move along in the season, we don't get beat, the same way.
Is it important to get Thatcher back out there?
Oh, yeah. I mean, he pitched Tuesday, 2 innings last week. I'm sure he'll be part of the game plan tomorrow. And, want him to be good because when he's good, he's as good as anybody. And so I watched him play catch yesterday and very closely. And I liked where the intent was at. Had a good meeting with all the players, had a good meeting with him. Care level is extremely high, talent's high. So eventually there's a breakthrough. We saw a breakthrough last year, obviously. Back half of SEC play all the way through, the national championship game. And I believe, he still has good pitching here, and he's going to pitch the major league someday. I say that with zero hesitation.
You haven't been any chair in your office? Seems like you have a lot of.
Well, it was just, we've got to get better, and, shift some things, and it's like a notebook, this big of everything that's happening and how to do it better. And frankly, it's like I believe in how we do what we do, why we do what we do, when we do it, all of those things, but it has to work for the players that you have. Like, that's coaching. And so what I want to make sure that I'm doing is it's not necessarily meeting them where they're at, but, my thing is you're only doing a good job if you make them good learners. If you recruit the right talent and you make your players good learners. And so it was more of just like, okay, I guess it's 15 games now, how can I do a better job of that and help my coaches, do a better job of that? Because we all have to do a better job. I mean, the players have to do a better job. So it's just, part of it. And we were doing the same type of stuff last year, just winning every game that we play, So I try to take that part of it out of it. It's just more magnified when, you get swept at number 2 and swept at number 3, and you lose a couple home games to number 8, and the team you played for the national championship in 4 consecutive weeks. It gets magnified.
Thanks, Jay.
All right.